So yeah, you were asking a bit about the practicing thing. So
Yeah.
real quick, it doesn't have to be real quick.
Let me just explain how I feel
Sure.
because I'm sure other people feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I'm alone and I practice, it's just so intimidating because I feel like I've forgotten everything that we talked about. So it's like, I printed out a whole page of a song of tabs that I wanted to learn, and then it was just like, there's too many lines, there's too many numbers. I forget what I'm doing, so then I just put it away, and then I just don't do it. So
The overwhelm.
yes,
Sure. Um, yeah. So for one, it's never. I wouldn't put the pressure on yourself to memorize everything that's said. In general. Um, because there's sometimes when I'll bring something up just to explain something else, and it's not necessarily like you need to remember it in that moment. It's just a way of like remember, that sort of thing. You can definitely take notes. You could on certain things if you feel like that, or obviously ask for extra material or whatever you need. Um, but yeah, don't. When you sit down, especially if you don't have that much time, if you're someone that gets interrupted a lot, or um, you're just busy or whatever. A lot of times it works to set like a certain time, like before work or before dinner or after dinner or whatever. It ends up working, like some sort of thing that like triggers the routine. And then after doing, like, you just like, let's say you can just do like 15 to 20. Maybe one day you focus completely on the rhythm. And then what I would do is I would warm up with some of the easier ones, and then or whatever you feel is manageable. You don't want to start at a boring level. Start at something that's like maybe somewhat comfortable, but you might screw it up every once in a while, right? Yeah, something you don't have the consistency with yet. And then you can go ahead and have it, like, the next day be something where you focus on maybe challenging yourself with some new chord shapes
okay,
or things that you might not be comfortable with, right? And then you can rotate. So for me, my ideal practice schedule was like a 3-day sort of thing when I was practicing like my most. And it was like a day for technique, another day for technique, a day for creative stuff, and then that would repeat, and then I'd have like a review or free day kind of thing, and then that would be my week, right? Um, I think right now that would be ridiculous because it's a lot, right?
yeah,
So I think you should have a chunk where you do some of the rhythms, and I think the rhythm could be your warm up, because and then you could play like if you then you could use a song as your example, for the consistent strumming, and then have a day where you focus more on, like I said, some new chord shapes, that sort of thing. You could do whatever feels like you're challenging yourself, but you can still focus on everything. It doesn't sound, it's not like pushing you too much where you're adding that pressure, right? And then, like, always remember too that like everything's gonna bleed over. So even if you're practicing a totally different rhythm, it's gonna help you out with just it'll develop those, what are they called, neural pathways or whatever. Develop like your just way of thinking with them.
gotcha.
Okay.